Mr. Sales Savage, if I could just start with you. So how many customers do you have approximately?
Between 14 and 15 million customers.
Between 14 and 15 million. I think you told Senator Britt just a minute ago that a goodly number of those are minors. Is that correct?
What I said was I don't have the number of customers.
You have the genetic data of a good many minors. Is that correct?
We have genetic data for a particular number of minors, and I will be happy to provide.
People under the age of 18. Is that correct?
That is how I'm defining a minor.
So they give your customers, I just want to make sure I understand your business model. Your customers give you their genetic information for you to run various tests on. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And I mean, that's pretty sensitive stuff, isn't it? Somebody's genetic information. Is there anything more personal than that?
I would agree with you, Senator, that genetic data is sensitive information.
And so now you're just going to sell all of it? 15 million people, bunches of kids, maybe millions. It's just going to be sold in the open market?
As Senator, the good news, as I mentioned, is that the two bidders or buyers for the company, one is Regeneron, which is
That's the big pharma company? It doesn't make me feel any better.
It's a large pharmaceutical company.
All right, so you're going to take 15 million Americans' genetic information and you're going to sell it to somebody, and your message to us is today, trust us, it'll be fine. Maybe it's a big pharma company. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll treat it right. I thought your privacy code, your privacy commitment said that consumers had a right not to have their information shared with anybody else without their consent. I mean, I've got your privacy statement right here. It says that without their consent, you can't share their information. You're about to sell it.
Senator, that consent is, essentially for,
not real?
Not share for research purposes, and we are not selling it for research purposes.
So when you tell the consumer, give us your personal information and we'll take money from you, and we won't give it to anybody without your consent, it's not real. It just means, maybe kind of depends on the day.
Senator, I will say that our customers' data is their own. They have the right at all times to access that information. They can edit it.
Well, sure they can, but you're about to sell it to who knows who. They can't control it. You said to Senator Moody that consumers have complete control of their data. Complete. How can they have complete control if you're about to sell it without their consent?
Senator, they can delete that data anytime up until the sale and after.
Oh, okay. They can delete the data. Have you fixed the ability of customers to go on your website and delete it? Because right after you announced your sale, your deletion page went down. I hold in my hand here an article from the Wall Street Journal. 23andMe site goes down as customers struggle to delete their data. Can they even get onto your site to delete their data?
They can, Senator. And
you fixed this?
That was an issue that, yes, we fixed immediately after.
It's up and running now? Customers can go on?
Customers can go on and they can delete their data.
What happens when they go onto your site to delete their data?
When a customer logs into their account at 23andMe, they go to their settings page, and there's a section there where just click delete my data. It confirms that they want to delete their data, and it's deleted automatically.
Is that true? Let's take a look.
Okay.
When they go onto your page, they get an opportunity. It says permanently delete the data. So they click the button that says permanently delete the data, and then they get a notification that says your account is no longer accessible. How do they know if they can't access their account anymore? How do they know their data's been deleted?
Because we send them a notification that their information has been deleted.
You send it once, and how long does that take?
Our policy state that, we will delete their data within 30 days, and in most cases, it is automatic and happens much quickly.
And when you delete it, it's deleted. It's gone forever.
All the genetic data is deleted forever, and yes.
Really? Because that's not what your privacy statement says in the fine print. Let's read it. What your statement says is, we retain personal information for as long as necessary to provide the services and fill the transactions you've requested, to comply with our legal obligations, resolve disputes, enforce agreements, et cetera, et cetera. And then it goes on, 23andMe and or our contracted genotyping laboratory will retain your genetic information even if you choose to delete your account.
Senator, 23andMe, it does not retain any genetic information regarding the consumer once they delete their account. We do.
It says right here that you will retain genetic information, including date of birth and sex, even if you choose to delete your account. This is your privacy policy. I'm just quoting from it.
Senator, to the best of my knowledge, we do not maintain any genetic information.
It says even if you choose to delete your account, we will retain your genetic information, date of birth and sex, even if you choose to delete your account.
There is some information that we do retain, but not related to the genetic information.
Right.
But that, such as name, email address, and other.
So even if you delete the account, you retain their name, you retain their email address, you retain their date of birth, you retain their sex, and you retain their genetic information, even if they choose to delete your account. So in other words, don't talk to your suit behind you, talk to me. He's not testifying, you are. You do not allow consumers actually to delete permanently their data. And when you said a minute ago to Senator Moody, at all times consumers have complete control of their data, that's just not true, is it? By the terms of your own agreement, that just is not true.
Senator, with all due respect, all of the genetic data is deleted. We are only
With all due respect, what you are telling me is in direct contravention to what your own policy states, even if you choose to delete your account. In fact, what you do is you allow your consumers to delete their account settings, but their data isn't deleted. You still have it. The laboratory still has it. You have their name. You have their date of birth. You have their sex. And now you're going to sell it. Here's my point. It's a pattern. Your consumers actually aren't in control of anything. You are. You control their data. You control their genetic information. Now you're about to sell it. You promise them, we won't ever sell it without your consent, but you're doing it. You promise them, we'll allow you to delete it, but you don't. In fact, you've lied to them. Have you not?
Senator, we have not. I assure you that we are deleting all of our customers who have requested.
No, you're not. You're not, because your policies say they're not, and you're not deleting it because if you were, your company wouldn't be worth $300 million. No, don't read from what your guy behind you is shoveling talking points to you now. I don't want your talking points. I've read your policies. I've seen what they are, and I tell you what, it's amazing to me you're not getting your socks sewed off by your customers. I hope they will. I hope they will rush to the courthouse, even as we are here today, to sue you into oblivion for lying to them and taking their most personal, identifiable information and selling it for a profit and lying to them and to the American public. Quite frankly, Mr. Selsavage, what you're doing here has all kinds of implications, national security implications, all of it, but nothing is worse than taking the personal, identifiable information of American consumers and keeping it and lying to them about it while you make a huge profit off of it. It's unbelievable to me. It's absolutely unbelievable. This concludes our hearing. I want to thank each of the witnesses for taking the time to share your experience, your expertise, and your perspectives. Written questions can be submitted for the record until Wednesday, June 18th at 5 p.m. I'll ask the witnesses to answer and return questions to the committee within 2 weeks. The hearing's adjourned.
What you just watched wasn't a senator losing his temper or a CEO getting ambushed for clicks. It was a direct collision between the language tech companies use to reassure the public and the reality buried in their own legal documents. Josh Hawley didn't come into this hearing guessing. He came in having read 23andMe's privacy policy closely, and his questions were designed to force a very uncomfortable truth into the open. At the center of this exchange is a simple but deeply unsettling fact. Genetic data is unlike any other kind of personal information. You can change a password. You can close a bank account. You can even replace a stolen identity, but you cannot change your DNA. Once that information is collected, copied, or transferred, it exists permanently. That's why Hawley keeps pressing on the idea of control, because if consumers don't truly control their genetic data, then consent becomes little more than a marketing slogan. When the CEO acknowledges that 23andMe holds genetic information for between 14 and 15 million people, that alone should give anyone pause. That is not a startup-scale dataset. That is one of the largest privately held genetic databases in the world. And when it becomes clear that a significant portion of that data belongs to minors, the ethical stakes rise even higher. Children cannot meaningfully consent to lifelong data exposure, yet their genetic profiles may now be wrapped into a corporate sale they had no say in. The CEO repeatedly assures the committee that customers can delete their data at any time. On its face, that sounds comforting, but Hawley doesn't accept vague assurances. He forces the discussion into specifics, walking through exactly what deletion means in practice. Once a user deletes their account, they lose access, they receive a notification, and then they're expected to trust that the company followed through completely. But Hawley points out the critical flaw. The company's own privacy policy says otherwise. Buried in the fine print is language allowing 23andMe and its partners to retain certain personal and genetic information even after an account is deleted. That's not accidental wording. It exists to protect the company legally. And when you combine that with the fact that the company is being sold, the promise of user control begins to unravel. A company valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars is not being purchased for its logo or its brand recognition. It's being purchased for its data. This is why Hawley rejects the distinction between selling data and selling a company that contains data. From a consumer's perspective, the difference is meaningless. If your genetic information ends up in new hands without your explicit consent, the outcome is the same. And once that transfer happens, it cannot be undone. What makes this hearing particularly revealing is how often the CEO falls back on technical definitions instead of addressing the core concern: genetic data versus identifying information, research use versus commercial use, immediate deletion versus deletion over time. Each distinction may matter legally, but they don't change the fundamental issue. Consumers were told they had complete control, and that simply isn't true. Hawley's frustration peaks when he makes a point that cuts through all the corporate language. If customer data were truly deleted in the way the company claims, 23andMe would not be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Investors don't pay for empty databases. The valuation itself is evidence that the data still exists and still holds enormous value. That's also why Hawley raises national security concerns. Large genetic datasets are not just valuable to pharmaceutical companies, they are valuable to insurers, foreign governments, intelligence agencies, and anyone seeking insight into population-level biology. Once that data leaves individual control, it becomes a strategic asset, not a personal one. This hearing wasn't about punishing innovation, it was about accountability. It was about whether companies can promise privacy while quietly reserving the right to do the opposite when financial pressure hits. And it was about whether Americans truly understand what they're giving up when they mail their DNA to a private corporation. By the end, Hawley isn't just accusing the company of misleading consumers, he's exposing a broader failure in how U.S. law treats genetic data, allowing irreversible personal information to be collected, retained, and monetized with limited oversight. That's why this moment matters far beyond this one company or this one CEO. If you're here for more than just viral clips, this is what we do. We slow these moments down, explain what's actually happening, and show why the questions matter. Subscribe to Capital Breakdown for clear, no-spin analysis of congressional hearings and the power dynamics shaping U.S. politics.